I'm Marika De Rosa, ADS Competitiveness Operations Manager, and today is quite early, but we really wanted to make this interview, and here we are. We are here with Dave Bull, lead practitioner for ManEx, BusEx and RelEx with the SC21 program. He is part of the program from 2007. So, David, talk a little bit about yourself, your career.
Morning. I started my career as a pattern maker within the foundry industry, and then did a number of roles, including foundry manager and works manager. And in 2004, I did a black belt in Six Sigma, closely followed by a number of supply chain opportunities, worked with a number of companies doing supply chain development. And then came along SC21, which is a very similar philosophy to what we were doing. So we ran we actually ran a supply chain using Six Sigma, but then decided to get qualified for SC21, which at the time was quite a difficult process. But we aligned our training, aligned our techniques to the SC21 program, and became approved as lead practitioners for ManEx, BusEx, and latterly RelEx.
Brilliant. And so basically the program gave you the opportunity to work with both SMEs and OEMs, right?
Yes, we ran a number of supply chains within the SC21 program, and yes, we were able to deal with both ends of the spectrum. And a lot of the SC21 meetings, the thing I always found fascinating was you got an SME from the West Midlands, say, was able to sit next to someone from Airbus or Rolls-Royce or some senior practitioner, and that was it became a level playing field for everyone to get joined in and talk and discuss their aspirations and expectations of SC21, and also a fantastic opportunity for a lot of SMEs to promote the businesses of how good they've been. At one time, we used to have a lot of presentations from MSCs on their SC21 journey, and it was a great opportunity for the primes to engage with those suppliers and take them on board as a supplier.
Yeah, and so Dave, what would be the most useful suggestion to give to the companies that have just started with the program?
Well, I think the first thing is to tell their key customers that they're involved in the SC21 program. Some customers will actually give some help and encouragement to the supplier on their journey, and actually use it and actually promote them within their own organization. And then the second biggest thing is to align the Q&D metrics, both with the customer base and the supply chain. There's always a lot of confusion, especially around delivery, of how delivery is calculated. Is it based on the customer's request date or the supplier's promise date or something in between? There's always confusion around that. So to get that aligned of how the customer is calculating it, how the supplier is calculating it, so aligned, so the talking and verifying scorecards and things like that is absolutely invaluable. They're on the same page from day one.
Bravo. And I will add also to relate first thing with one of our approved practitioner, for example, Dave, for example, you, no?
Yes.
This could be also a good tip for a company that just started, and basically they express their interest, they receive their email, and then basically they should know exactly what to do, which is thanks to this email, which is basically contact a practitioner of your choice that is approved from the program. Okay, good. So, which is the first benefit for SMEs that comes to your mind when you think about SC21?
Well, SC21 gives it, they often talk about continuous improvement, of creating a burning bridge as to why we're trying to improve. And SC21 gives a very clear vision of why. And different people, different members of the company's main board have a different view. But an SC21 award is not a bad goal to say, if we do the following things over the next 2-3 years, get our metrics aligned, make the improvements, we can get an award and get some recognition. And that really is a powerful thing throughout the company to understand, to get an award. And all the other things then fall into place. All the improvements of 5S, the BusEx and RelEx, and all the other things fall into place behind that. But it gives a very clear direction as to why the company is doing this.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about a little bit more about the award system. So what do you think about it? And then maybe also explain to our audience the award criteria, which I'm aware is quite a complex aspect of the program, no? Do you agree?
So there's a number of things in the awards. The first thing is a valid BusEx, ManEx and RelEx diagnostic. And again, there's some rules around what the levels need to be. So above 400 for silver and above 500 for gold. So that's really straightforward. A copy of the current copy of your CSIP, your continuous sustainable improvement plan. Again, fairly straightforward. The most difficult is the Q&D, the quality and delivery performance verification. So for me, this should be based on 80% of turnover of the business, irrespective of whether it's aerospace and defence, but 80% of turnover, and verified with the customer. And this Q&D performance would go back approximately 2 years. And again, the spreadsheet is really user-friendly to use. Put the figures into the spreadsheet and it calculates for you and shows whether it's okay or not. But basically, it needs to be above 90% for the last 12 months for bronze, with all the customers you've nominated, and typically for most companies it's 4 or 5 customers, and above 98% for quality.
Yeah, would you say even is the most difficult to achieve, or do you think it's an overstatement to keep constantly Q&D that high for how many months? 36 months, right? So constantly high at the same target.
I found the problem is usually delivery performance. Most awards are stopped because of delivery performance. And that's going back to right to the very beginning when we said earlier, what's the most key benefit is to align your metrics with the customer on the calculation of delivery performance. I have a number of issues on delivery performance. Whose date are we working on? Is it the customer's request date or the supplier's promise date? And what's the delivery window? The typical average for aerospace is 5 days early, no days late, and very few companies use the window. They just use the due date. So they've only got to be 1 day out on the transport and they're late. So delivery performance is usually, and it's misunderstanding, and for companies who go back to that original alignment, then it's easy. But for the ones that don't, it's just understanding that principle of how delivery performance is calculated. I often get companies saying, well, we get a customer scorecard, but it's wrong. But it's only wrong in the eyes of the SME. It's not wrong in the eyes of the customer. It's just understanding of how it's calculated.
Yeah, let's remind everyone that, of course, on the SC21 website, it's possible to read more about the targets and the system for recognition. So that's the website is definitely a good source of information and good point to start basically your journey. Because also, as you know, this is last but not least, no? So because as you know, we are very open to feedback. I would like to ask, which do you think are the opportunities for improvement for the SC21 program?
Going back to 2006, one of the original concepts was that the supplier would need to get a CSIP, which is called a continuous sustainable improvement plan, which is really very simply boiled down to a list of their improvement projects they're going to do. And it's typically 6 to 10 improvement projects. I would really like to see that issued to the customers on a quarterly basis. The customers, on receipt of that, some of the customers will actually offer help and assistance on some of those improvement topics, because it's the improvement that's listed of the project will actually improve the customer's performance anyway, or should I say improve the performance of the customer anyway. So often customers are very open to giving support and advice on the improvement topics. So I'd like to see that CSIP issue on a quarterly basis. And that will also end up being a drive to drive the improvement project. Sometimes we go through diagnostics with the supplier, we sit down and agree all the projects, all the improvement activities, list the 6 improvement activities, and then it's like, oh, we haven't got time. Well, hang on, we've been doing this for a while now. We should have time. They're important. Let's make time and let's find resource. And I guess that's where the SCS comes in now, is the improvement modules.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take this feedback definitely, and we will work on it, and maybe even with your help, of course. So thank you very much, Dave. It has been a pleasure, basically, to speak with you this morning, and so thank you very much. Do you wanna add anything?
Yes, thank you, Marika. It's been a real honour. It's the SC21 programme is something I've been very close to, as we mentioned, from 2007. I had some great opportunities and some great improvement projects, both with SMEs and primes, and it's something I'm very, very close to and absolutely believe in. So yes, I wish the future of SC21 all the best.
Brilliant. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.